We respectfully request the sangha of great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung tín đại đức tặng thịnh, phi tứ pháp hội khắp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Tình duyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạt lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Saranto Suchedoye Olahudi San Miao San Puto Xie. Namo Tarakta To Yadaya La De Tamil Tamboda Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom and thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian wan jian an zao yu. 我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, great Master Ching Liang, great Master YongHua, O monks and nuns, and all good advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识, Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư và từng như hoa quý thầy cô các quý vị và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 13th of February, it's a Super Bowl day. If I don't see you again tomorrow, happy Halloween. What is tomorrow again? Yeah. Valentine, not Halloween. yeah. Oh. Well, thank you for coming. Today we will continue discussing the first chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Very excited. Every time we do a Dharma lecture, we start with this Dharma request here, and it's so meaningful to me. It's just important for us to remember why we're doing this. Okay, it says here, according to Master YongHua's teaching, the sangha of great virtues, and that's a sangha, by the way. Who will supposed to teach us about the Mahayana. So that's why, I don't know why now I am coughing. Excuse me. So the sangha is supposed to turn the Dharma wheel. So Excuse me. Now my throat is irritated. I know why. It's the incense behind me. Will you please take it away? The incense irritates my throat. That's why. Sorry about that. See? So it is imperative for the monks and nuns to learn how to lecture sutras. Not just speak Dharma, we need to lecture sutras. Okay? Sutras contain the profound Buddhist teaching, the Buddhist teaching that cannot be replaced. So that's why we speak Dharma on casual occasions, but we, as monks and nuns, must learn how to lecture on sutras. And that's a tradition that Master Shisha brought to the West. So that's why he says, turn the Dharma wheel right here. And so is no substitute for that. Lay people cannot possibly, we cannot rely on lay people to turn the Dharma wheel. Yes, they're perfectly welcome to speak the Dharma, but it is only the Buddha Dharma depends on the sangha to lecture, to explain, to turn the Dharma wheel, okay, in order for us to escape birth and death. All right? So let's never forget that monks and nuns is on your shoulders to carry on this tradition. From my turn, my generation, this generation here, I have been doing this, and when I'm done, you guys now should seize this opportunity to prepare for it, because it's your jobs. It's not about being comfortable after I'm gone so that you are able to cultivate whatever. You must carry on and fulfill your duties, because we get support in order to do our jobs. As long as we do our jobs, we get support. Don't do our jobs, we don't deserve any support, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? All right. Okay, let's go to the first chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra. We were discussing the first chapter lists out the who's who were in attendance under the Bodhi tree when Shakyamuni Buddha was lecturing the Avatamsaka Sutra. And we finished the first section where it listed out the 10 representatives of the Mahasattvas, the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. And those are the big shots in Buddhism. Those are, we probably don't hear a lot of them, because that tells you that how many Mahasattvas are there in the universe. And there's so many of them that we don't hear of them because they're busy somewhere else. Okay? And we are living beings here, we are very limited. The more we hear too many names, we get confused. We can't remember. So in this small version of the sutra, we only hear 10 names, and that's still, we don't even recognize them. So that's how, remember, when you hear about these things, you see how vast, how extensive our network here is. These Mahasattvas are everywhere in the universe, not just in the Sangha world. If they were here to attend this lecture, then they also are there all over the world to attend the lectures as well. That's how big we are. Don't ever forget that. Don't think that, these competition is so big, have so many monuments and so many members, billion members, or Buddhist association so big and so forth. No, they're nothing compared to, you look at, for example, the bodhisattvas who were present at the Avatamsaka Sutra, under the Bodhi tree there, it's countless. They're more than the followers of these big-name monks or God or whatever. Think about it. That's how extensive our network is. Okay, I need to emphasize that for your sake. All right. So we're the good guys. Don't ever forget that we, the good guys, are countless. The bad guys are actually outnumbered by us, I think. All right. So the sutra explained after listing out the 10 representative Dharma kings, Dharma princes, meaning these are either Buddhas, they're actually all Buddhas who manifest as Mahasattvas in order to support the other Buddhas and in order to fulfill their own vows, their own promises to help those living beings. Okay? The text in 246 says, these Buddha Mahasattvas, the ocean-like eloquence was infinite and vast. And that's what we were. We left off 3 months ago. A few weeks ago. So we're talking about in eloquence. There are 4 kinds of eloquence. Okay, number 1, eloquence and non-obstruction of Dharma. Number 2, eloquence and non-obstruction of meaning. Remember these. The eloquence are 3. Eloquence of non-obstruction of phrasing. And 4, eloquence and non-obstruction of delight in speech. Okay? Now, meaning what? What is eloquence here? This eloquence here is about non-obstruction. Okay? What is the eloquence and non-obstruction of dharmas? Meaning that these great beings are able to speak dharma and they understand the profound meanings of all the dharmas. Okay? There's nothing they don't know, and in particular, even though they know so much about, they know nothing that they didn't know, they don't know. Actually, they have no attachment to any dharmas that they know. That's very important. See, we low levels, when we know something, say, "Oh, I'm so proud. I'm a way young lineage. I am a specialist in Avatamsaka Sutra. I excel in prajna dharmas. I excel in chant." So that shows right there that you have attachments to dharmas, attachment to knowledge. And when I was there in my master's temple, I, just like everyone else, I was very proud of myself of being a member of the elite Mahayana. Okay? So that knowledge there, knowing that you are better, that you're the best, is an attachment in itself. So for them, even though they know everything, they know everything, the great Buddha Dharma in great depth, they're not attached to that knowledge. How's that? That's how you can tell that person has deep wisdom or not. Whereas worldly people, they say, "I am an expert in mathematics. I am an expert in, physics." So that knowledge here is actually pretty limited. That's why we're so proud of it. Once you understand everything, you know everything in great depth, you say, what's that to be proud of? It's just a fact of life. It's nothing I don't know. Right? You're only proud because you think it's something special, you think it's better than anything else. Okay? But it's no big deal. So this non-obstructional dharmas, meaning they are able to speak about anything. Okay? And that's what I find remarkable about Master YongHua. You ask him a question, he can talk about anything to great length. Yeah. Not only Buddha Dharma, but also non-Buddhist dharmas, such as I Ching. Anyway, I Ching. That's a sort of Chinese wisdom, very special Chinese wisdom. He understands Taoism, Confucianism, you name it, philosophy, whatever. So that's so he can, these bodhisattvas, they can have this wonderful eloquence about all dharmas, not just Buddha Dharma. I'd be happy to just have non-obstruction eloquence of non-obstruction of Buddhist dharmas. No, these bodhisattvas, it's nothing they don't know. All right? That's the ultimate eloquence of Dharma. Number 2, eloquence of non-obstruction of meaning. Okay? Meaning here refers to not only do you know about the Dharma itself, but you are able to intricately discern and debate all the ramifications associated with the dharmas, the topic you're talking about. So, for example, let's say they have exquisite knowledge of Chan. Okay, then they can talk to great lengths about the subtleties about Wei Yang lineage, Chan Wei Yang versus Lin Ji Wei Yang, Lin Ji Chan versus Cao Dong Chan versus Hua Yan Chan, okay, and so forth. You see, so they understand the subtleties, and they are able to differentiate at great details. Okay, so that's the meaning. All right. Number 3. So this meaning here, is so impressive because the depth here is, to me, it shows the unobstruction here of thoroughly penetrating everything they look at. And that's the relentlessness of the pursuit of knowledge, of cultivation they had during their practice before they became Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay? It's the unrelenting pursuit of knowledge, of perfecting that knowledge. Number 3, eloquence and non-obstruction of phrasing. Now, knowledge is wonderful. However, it's your knowledge. Why do you need eloquence in phrasing? Unobstruction in phrasing. Meaning, unobstruction here, there's nothing that can obstruct them in expressing themselves. Here, actually, the distinction here is also very interesting from the Buddhist dictionary. It says here that they are able to explain the Dharma in different languages. What does it mean, different languages? Are we talking about Greek? Are we talking about Korean? We're talking about what? Yes, all those. Yes? Okay. Look at that. Master YongHua came to this country. His English is not that good, so he cannot explain the Dharma in English. These bodhisattvas can explain anything. Okay? So does it mean Master YongHua falls short? Absolutely. Okay? Here, details matter. Master YongHua is that he's able to explain to us in a way that will help us cultivate, okay, so that transcends language. However, here, in the phrasing here, refers to the fact that it's a language thing, okay? You are able to express yourself with such eloquence in multiple languages and the nuances of the languages. Think about it, how fantastic it would be to have such a person to translate for us the Buddha Dharma from Chinese into English. Yes, 5.
I was under the impression that Master Shenhua was a Mahasattva.
He was?
I thought I heard that, but is that not true?
You think he's a low-level bodhisattva?
No. But if he was a Mahasattva, then did he not have the eloquence of non-obstruction of phrasing?
Good question. He's a Mahasattva. How come he doesn't have the eloquence and non-obstruction of phrasing? How come? It's by degrees. Okay? Just the same. You may be Mahasattva like Xu Yun. Master Xu Yun is Mahasattva. Master YongHua disciples is a Mahasattva, was. But they are not necessarily the same level of Mahasattvas. So, for example, Master Xu Yun is an 8th-ground bodhisattva. Master YongHua is a much higher level. And therefore, the eloquence between Master Xu Yun, when I look at Master Xu Yun's teaching in Chinese, okay, or some of the translation is not that good into English because the translators were not good enough. But anyway, the Master Xu Yun teaching in Chinese, you look at it, it's kind of plain. It's kind of sticks to fundamentals. That's what the 8th-ground bodhisattva is able to understand, the fundamentals. They don't understand the vivacity, the virtuosity of expression, of nuances, of emotions, and so forth. Okay? And therefore, Master Xu Yun's teaching, when you look at it, is actually very, very fundamental, very basic. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you can't go wrong when you go with him. However, you lack in terms of colorfulness, in terms of emotions. To me, the Dharma is very emotional. Otherwise, I fall asleep. Okay? So that's why the phrasing here for Master Xu Yun is very straightforward, very, very basic, very fundamental. Whereas Master YongHua is even simpler in vocabulary. Okay? However, it's so much more colorful, so much more flexible, so much more, to me, it's so much more virtuosity than Master Xu Yun. So you can tell these are different levels of Mahasattvas. One is entry level, one is pretty advanced level. But that is to say that his eloquence is not the same as these people at all. It's not the ultimate eloquence. It's fantastic to be there like him, but it's still not the ultimate. The ultimate here, they can speak in any language, in nuances that, like the way you look at Master YongHua looks at Master Xu Yun explanation of Dharma, is like they look at Master YongHua explanation, more or less. Trust me, from one level, 8 to 9, there's a whole world of difference. Master YongHua is higher than 9, I assure you. And so it's very rare to have a person like that coming to our world. And you guys are too late. Not enough blessings. Okay, so you have the subtleties of languages, okay, and also also the phrasing here in terms of the language, but also the meaning, the depth of the expression of language. For example, the Chinese Mahayana text is very, very profound. That is why the Chinese may understand the words, but they don't understand the depth behind the words. Is that clear? This is why there's no substitute in the future. I hope you Koreans, I hope you Vietnamese will be able to get the level where you now can express things in the depth in your own language that we non-native speakers cannot. Okay? In fact, in terms of phrasing, as I went through the last Qi, I realized after criticizing and making fun of the Chinese lack of understanding of their own beautiful Dharma, I realized there's a reason why the Dharma is explained like that in Chinese. It's not explained the way I explain it to you. You know, spelling out every single thing and filling in details for you, okay? Because that's the 21st century. Even the Chinese are leaning towards that direction, and us, you know, Western education influence. Okay, we need to be specific. We need to be clear and precise. Okay. However, the Chinese explanation is so much more convoluted, so much more abstract. Okay, like mathematical theorem. Okay, and that's because why? Anyone? Why is it so that way? A Chinese explanation. The language is geared towards that. Our language is geared towards simplicity, towards clarity. The Chinese language is geared towards abstraction. So it's a much more advanced language than our language. I'm sorry. Okay? There's no comparison. Their language is much more profound than ours. And that's why when they explain things in Chan, in Pure Land, and so forth, there is so many more layers of meaning that we cannot possibly understand or able to translate them all. Okay, so that's why I understand that yes, after Master Hsuan is gone, my generation, we're not able to do it the way Master Hsuan did in terms of training and helping people. Okay, so that's why I felt compelled to spell it out for you so that you can catch up with the Chinese. Okay, the Chinese have all the DNAs, they have all this history, they have all this momentum in their culture. It's there in the genes that we don't have. Okay, so we need to create new opportunities for ourselves. So that's why I had to spell it out for you. But when, and that's how we're going to surpass the Chinese, in numbers. Okay, because you look at in our country, the level of people and the level of attainment, the level of people here, I feel that our level is higher than the Chinese. It helps to do that. Okay. However, it has limitations because when we reach high level, like beyond Qiyun, you need to go back to the Chinese style explanation because you cannot spell out everything. You can't anymore because it's too profound. It's supposed to carry multiple layers of meanings, the Buddha Dharma. And that's why we have to go back to Chinese. Okay? We make fun of them now, but eventually we go back to please. He says, yes, 5. So don't burn bridges. Okay, boys and girls? Yes, 5.
Master, is hearing the Dharma the best way to receive it?
Yes. Hearing the Dharma in Chinese, not English. It's still better to hear the Dharma in Chinese is still better than English. I'm sorry. The seeds are much better. However, the difference between us and the Chinese is that the seeds are better, but ours sprout faster. So they are long-term game. We are shorter term, okay? So that's why we do both. Does it make sense? We need to change the game because if we do the same thing as Chinese, we'll never catch up with them. Never. They have centuries ahead of us. The Indian and Chinese have a few thousand, few thousand years ahead of us. We need to catch up and assume responsibility for this. Therefore, being American is so interesting because American, I remember I went to Korea a few years ago, 3-4 years ago. I met with this young Korean monk. This is the first time I went to Korea. Went to this nice temple, okay, of Master YongHua. Because I heard that's where he was staying, and so I went there, and it was a beautiful, beautiful temple. First time I saw a beautiful Korean temple, traditional Korean temple. And after the tour, a young Korean monk sat down with me and gave him an offer of tea. Very, very, very hospitable thing to do. She offered us tea and talked about into great lengths. And actually, he spoke English pretty well because he's part of the tourist group of the temple, the tourist office of the temple. So I talked to him, and he says, he very proudly said, you know, we Koreans are very traditional. Okay, we are very slow in adopting things. However, we have this tradition of taking the best from China, Japan, whatever, okay, whatever, because Buddhism came from India. Okay, so we took the best from all over the world and massage it and integrate it into our culture and make it Korean. Sounds good? And I said, oh, yeah, how wonderful. And I was telling myself, well, the Vietnamese own everything. Never mind, just kidding. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that now I look back and I say, wow, all these people talk big. And I was too polite. If you talk to me like that, I would have said, sounds mighty wonderful. Tell me, you, sir, what have you absorbed, assimilated that's so wonderful from China or from the US, whatever? Please tell me, what have you done? It's not talk. You have to supposed to do it, supposed to have a track record. Talk is cheap. Anyone will talk like that. I would like you, each one of you, to tell me, what have you assimilated from the Chinese, from the Vietnamese, from the Sri Lankan? Then I believe you. And this is so American. This is what we do. We don't talk about it, right? The Americans talk like a melting pot. We melt everything. And that's the spirit here in the U.S. We take the stuff from the Jews, from the Arabs, from the Vietnamese, from everyone, right? And then we call it American. We are thieves. But we actually excel doing that. We don't talk about it. Okay? That's what we do. That's why I'm very proud to say, yeah, we American. I have no problem stealing from Chinese right now. Take the Chinese, massage it, turn it into something we can use right now. Eventually, when you get higher than Master Xu Yun, we have to go back to Chinese. I'm warning you. Do not ever burn bridges with the Chinese. Let's go to war with them. Just kidding. Trump is so wrong. So let's compete with them. But remember, eventually we have to import that into our culture. Okay? And they have the edge, the advantage. The Asians have the advantage of the language over us. The Chinese language is too abstract, so wonderfully abstract. And there's nothing wrong with us using it, and our teachings even. I'm promoting that now I teach you English in the future generations, third generation, fourth, so forth. You can teach yourself in Chinese when you get up there. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the American language as well. That's what we have that's better than the Catholics. You know what I mean? Okay? The Catholics don't have any Chinese thing. We have Chinese. Go ahead. Thank you for waiting. Q&A.
Thank you, Master. My question is, when you say that right now we listen to Dharma in English, but Chinese is much more better quality, can we just listen and not understand whether it benefit anything, or we need to learn Chinese?
I object to Chinese much better quality. Let's not go too far, okay? Yes, of course. That's why, you notice, that's why we still give you these Chinese references, kind of whet your appetite, so that in the future you know where my sources came from, and actually what I'm able to translate for you, explain for you, elaborate for you, is only a subset of what the Chinese teach themselves. All right? And so for now, at our times, I feel it's okay. It should be okay. Some of my disciples are getting up there, but before they are ready to get into Chinese, they need to plant more blessings. They need to replace themselves. We need to get more people to do the work, so that now the work gets done, the propagation continues, and then part of that propagation is now delve deeper into the advanced teachings. That's only reserved for a select group of people, not for the populace. Okay? It's not for everyone. So that's why we have time. Yes, 8.
Master, so those who are studying Chinese, meaning that they're very high level then, from master disciple.
I hope so. But don't forget the Vietnamese too have the same exact one-to-one translation into Vietnamese. Or the Korean also have the one-to-one translation too. Am I correct? Okay. So those languages there also have built-in sophistication. So it's not just Chinese anymore. Okay, and that's my hope is that the Koreans will do it for themselves, and the Vietnamese, and who else? I don't know. Okay, but the Asian languages have more depth than our Western languages. That's a fact, just a way of life. Okay? And that's why I hope to have more Chinese studies for my disciples when we have more manpower, and now we can diverge into, you see, right now the investment is in the manpower, the muscle power to build, okay? To build the masses. But then we need to finish the pyramid. Okay? We're building the base right now. We need to finish that pyramid. That's my ambition. Yes, 4. Otherwise, I'd be so bored. Might as well retire.
Master, you say that the Chinese has more meaning or deep meanings, and the Chinese is basically is coming from Sanskrit, correct? So that means Sanskrit is even more deeper?
I beg to disagree. The Chinese learn it from, translated from the Sanskrit. That's true. However, the Chinese bodhisattvas elaborated more on the Mahayana. Okay, and for example, you have YongHua, which is a transformation body of Amitabha Buddha. And when he explained, when he spoke Dharma, he's actually elaborating on the Shrangama Sutra. So that's why it's so difficult, so scary. Okay, so what happened is that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas decided to go to China and started elaborating to great depth of the Dharma. Okay, my point being that at the human realm, I feel that you go to the Chinese level of depth, that's plenty good for you to become a Buddha. Or go to the Pure Land or whatever you need to accomplish in one lifetime. Because remember, it's many, many more lifetimes beyond this. And so if in the future, for people like you who are perfectionists, it says, I want to learn from a true source, then in the future, why don't you go back to India and learn and become an Indian? Okay? And learn Buddhism. To me, I started learning from a Chinese. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm pretty happy with the depth of the Chinese language. So I feel it's enough for me personally. But you may not work for you. Okay, and if that's the case, go to India. And I don't just be a Vietnamese. You know, be more daring. Become Indian. Okay? And then you find out, I told you, Vietnam is much deeper. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Q&A.
Emitofuo Master, I thought is there set up on the when the bodhisattvas level up to a certain level, then the language ceased, and then you cannot even express it in language anymore. So actually only showing the road and then work one by one with the good known advice, then you see it yourself, because a thing cannot be described anymore. So the advance in the Chinese, doesn't matter how advanced it is, cannot describe the
Vietnamese?
the true. Yeah, in any language it ceased, because it cannot describe it. Whatever we can describe is very low level. That's what I try to say.
Where do you learn that from?
I thought in one of the sutra explanation, you explained that the level that the language are seized is.
So you use my explanations against me. If I was hoping you say, Master YongHua said so, then I say, oh, of course, I agree with you. If Master YongHua, I can't fight you. But now it's even worse. He says, you said so. It is true. Well, it's a good point. The good point is that the Buddha Dharma transcends language. It's true. That is correct. However, I would like to bring to your attention the fact that When you have a person like Yongmingshou Chanshi, who is actually Amitabha Buddha, when he came to our world, to China, and he says, I will teach you things, and he used Chinese to express it. Let me ask you, sir, wouldn't you want to understand what he taught the Chinese? Because he chose to go to China to teach the Chinese that way. I personally would like to know what he taught them. And that's why I meant what I mean by the depth of the language, not the structure of phrasing. The language matters. In this case, because it's the Buddha's intentions. Who are we to decide that, it's the same? It's the same because when I said that, it's because when you compare the bodhisattvas instructions and so forth, I can see, yes, it's not much difference. But when you have a Buddha coming to our world and decided to teach certain things to certain people, I'd love to know more about why. Because the virtuosity of the Buddha using that particular language to teach those people then, that is, to me, a work of art. It's the Van Goghs of Mahayana, if you will. So I'd like to learn it not for the sake of understanding alone, but also to appreciate the beauty of how Mahayana can be expressed. Yes, number one.
A Di Đà Phật. Theo con thấy là trước khi mà đạt tới độ mà không còn ngôn ngữ đó là phải biết ngôn ngữ. Chẳng hạn như Ngài Xá Lợi Phất, Ngài Mục Kiền Liên, A Nan nói rất là nhiều. Rồi khi mà diễn tả cái pháp không đó, Ngài Duy Ma Cật làm thinh thôi, không có nói nữa. Mà trước khi tới cái làm thinh đó phải biết, chứ là làm sao mình biết, mà làm sao mình tới đó. Thành ra ngôn ngữ rất là cần trước khi mà đạt tới cái không đó, chứ không phải trước dưới này không biết gì hết thì không cần ngôn ngữ thì Chư Tổ dịch cái Ấn Độ tiếng Phạn đồ qua tiếng Hoa để làm cái gì? Không xin hết.
Master, I think like before you reach to the level that beyond the language, you do need to know the language. So, for example, Xá Lợi Phất, Shariputra, or other disciples of Buddha, Mahamoggallana or Anand, whenever they debate with Vimalakirti. Whenever they debate with Vimalakirti,
you want me to translate for you?
Yes, Master. It's so hard to translate. So he said, like, when they discuss about the emptiness, and Vimalakirti just keep silence. So his point is, before you can reach to the upper level, you really need to master the language.
He's right. He's not in, and the San Jose objection is not in contradiction to this. They refer to higher level. He says at the advanced level, there's no more, language doesn't matter anymore. And I don't think it's the case, because I give the example of the Buddha's teaching. Unless you're Buddha, and then it doesn't matter anymore. But for us, who are not Buddhas, I'd love to understand more how the Buddhas taught those Mahasattvas. Okay? And that's how you become a Buddha quicker. Okay? So, I just contradicted myself. You see, Yung, what I taught to you when I told you years ago, it's years ago at your low levels. I was only trying to impress you low-level people. But now, there's so many high levels that I need to impress you differently. That's why I am become wishy-washy. Yes, but no. Okay, anything else? Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. I was curious if Maya Sattva were to come down in the future with eloquence of non-obstruction of phrasing, is it possible they could use English in a way that could still teach at that level?
Yes, but it takes a lot more words. You see, and what happened is that when we translated the text from Chinese into English, for example, there are things we could not translate. Or when they translated Sanskrit into Chinese, the things they couldn't translate, so they kept the Sanskrit words, paramita, multiple meanings. So that's what we have to end up doing ourselves. We have to use the Chinese words to make sure we capture everything. Okay. However, at the present moment, at the level in the world right now, as far as Mahayana is concerned, including the Chinese, it's not at that level yet, so it doesn't matter. But eventually, if we want to be the new guardians of Mahayana, okay, my gut feeling is that we have to now to do the same thing, keep the Chinese words. So this is like, if you will, low level, so that language doesn't matter. We can use English for now, but in the future, we better start using Chinese words to convey, to retain the depth of the teaching in Chinese. That's what the Chinese had to do themselves. All right? All right. So now we talk about the third eloquence of non-obstruction phrasing, meaning they can do anything they want. Non-obstruction meaning that this total mastery. It's a virtuosity, if you will. Non-obstruction is virtuosity. Okay, in expressing, in using the language, using the wording. So far, so good? And finally, the eloquence, non-obstruction, and delight in speech. Look, when we talk about eloquence, this is so Mahayana. Talk about eloquence, okay, we said, if you want to explain anything, number one, you need to understand what you're explaining. That's why, number one. See that? What are you explaining? Do you really understand or not? That's why you must have the eloquence of dharmas. So far, so good. Once you understand the dharmas, okay, then you need to be able to provide the depth or the analysis or the permutations, you will, and combination. What happened to the statistics person? Oh, she's in San Jose. Okay, the PhD in statistics, who does not understand arithmetic. Okay, so you understand the dharmas, but you need to understand the whole thing, not just one-dimensional, but multi-dimensional. That is the meaning. So far, so good. So the depth is incredible. So far, so good. So it's not just enough that say that I am a specialist, but I also am able to perceive the whole thing. Okay, that's number two. Number three, you not only are able to see the whole thing, you must be able to describe it in any language. Look at the standards here set up by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We are so happy, I have a PhD from such institutions, right? No, it goes back to the substance of the matter. Do you know what it is? You know all the ramifications, all the different dimensions. Okay? Can you express it? Can you explain them to me? That's the first three non-obstruction eloquences. Is it clear? The standard is extremely high, folks. Okay? Number 4. Why do we need number 4? And this is so Mahayana. If you know everything, and you are a recognized expert. Okay? Why do you eat number 4? Think about it. Why do we eat number 4? Because even though you know everything, you are able to express everything, okay, in great details. But if Kim Jong doesn't want to listen to it, he just, hey, can you hurry it up? It's football, Super Bowl day today. Huh? You see the problem? You may be the most wonderful, most eloquent speaker, but no one wants to listen to you. What's the point? So that's why number 4 is equally important. You cannot say, I have the first 3 and I'm the best. No, you still need to have number 4, eloquence of speech. You are able to explain everything in a way that captivates people, that turns a Catholic into, oh, sounds interesting to me. You know what I mean? So that's why delight in speech. Delight in speech in what sense? In the sense that people love to listen to you. If you will, in the US nowadays, we call it entertainment. Huh? Yes, Catholic.
I have a question, sir. So,
yes.
How do you not break? How do you rephrase it? How do you not break the balance between entertainment of the audience when you're preaching and to still stay and conveying the message at the same time?
Good question. So Catholic. When I first started, I went to some Vietnamese temples, big temples, okay? And I was drooling. I said, oh, this is so wonderful, so rich. Look at all this building, all this fancy wood and, and stuff. And put on by big names, big guys who said, we are the elite, okay? And part of the eloquence of delight in speech, they have entertainment. Huh? They have this dance troupe. So some Vietnamese girls were going around, there's a big Buddha here, and they were dancing around. Okay, dancing, okay. Beautiful, beautiful dance. Such a beautiful choreography. I loved it until I started moving closer and closer to the front so that I wouldn't miss anything. I'm short, remember? The young Vietnamese is too tall for me. So I had to move up a little bit to the work. Excuse me. So I got to the front, okay? I stood there on the side there. I still remember it. So this beautiful Vietnamese girl, young Vietnamese girl, dancing, and then one would dance right up to me and go. I said, oh no. That's pushing it too far, sir. You agree? Do you know what I was talking about? In a Buddhist temple, in a Buddha hall. That's too far. Okay? So entertainment here is to make it interesting, make it relevant to you, but not cause the mind to agitate. So that's the answer. It's okay to make it interesting, to make it fun, okay? Because let's face it, you have a hard week. You work so hard and it hurts, and you're not going to come here to the temple and hurt me some more, make me suffer some more, right? People don't do that on weekends. They need to have something. So we're competing against the Super Bowl, for God's sake. Okay, so that's why delight in speech means that you need to express in a way that makes it interesting, fun for them to listen to, okay? So that's part of the delight in speech, but not veer towards the inappropriate, if you will. And that's part of wisdom. You can, how far you can go, and to keep it interesting, but not be excessive. So far, so good. There's one more thing about the line in speech that people don't realize. This is not a show. Speaking Dharma is not a show that tries to impress you, try to convert you or something, or try to entertain you. Not at all. This is authentic. So how can it be authentic? It's amazing how profound the way the Buddhas put things and say, eloquence has 4 aspects I need you to know. And he lists out those 4. And the Chinese with dictionary and the speakers will go to, eloquence number 1 in meaning, number 2 in Dharma, number 1 in Dharma, number 2 in meaning, number 3 in phrasing, number 4 in the line in speech. That's how Master Shua explained it, which is true, which is all-inclusive. But it's for low-level people. What I'm trying to explain to you, the relationship about the 4 that the Chinese don't explain to their own kinds. That's the difference now that we have in English and they don't have. Why? Why 4? Why not 3? Why not 2? It has to be 4. Why would you give? You need to give wealth, you need to give the Dharma, you need to give fearlessness. You have any of the 3 lacking, it's not giving. Why didn't the Chinese explain to them their own kinds? And all the Vietnamese did to translate, and the same thing, translated what the Buddhist dictionary says, what the Master Shua says, but they never explained to it. None of the Chinese explain why the 3. What's the relationship with the 3? Same thing here. Master Shua repeatedly explained about the eloquence of the 4 kinds of eloquences all over his lectures. But he never explained to us why 4. Why the Buddha has to teach them 4. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's why we're different. That's why in English we're better than the Chinese right now at the current level. Until we get higher, and then we steal from the Chinese again. Okay? That's different. So that's our long-range planning. Okay? I don't care. We steal from Chinese, turn into Korean, turn to Vietnamese, turn to English. Doesn't matter. French, doesn't matter. Okay, now, why number 4? If you speak the Dharma and to make them people like to listen to it, okay, that's fine. How can you make it really authentic? Like he said, where do you distinguish between entertainment versus going too far? Very valid point. He's more Buddhist than Catholic. 5.
Master, it seems to me that delight in speech creates a connection between the speaker of the Dharma and the receiver whose Buddha nature becomes hungry for the Dharma. That there's a connection established between the 2 of those.
Oh, that is so profound. Very good. Okay. Translate the languages, all languages, please. I take a break. I can't explain it better than that. Okay. And for that kind of depth, I think we've done our jobs today. Gelato, anyone? Gelato? That deserves gelato. It's also a simpler aspect as well. How can you make it authentic to people who don't know about the Buddha nature or your self nature and so forth? How is it authentic? How does it feel authentic? How? Come on, Alung. Yeah? Anyone? How? Q&A, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a son who passed away about 4 months ago, and I have a difficult time, letting go or finding peace in myself.
I'm sorry, who passed away?
My son.
Your son. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So it's every day I have a lot of memories. I guess it's a loss I cannot imagine. I'm trying to find a way to find peace in myself.
Yes. Have you seen Quantum of Solace? Never mind, I'm kidding. Yeah, I shouldn't joke. Continue.
Yeah, so I try to learn how to meditate and other things as well. But I have difficulty, sleep or rest or anything like that. It's just
Okay.
it's a lot of anxiety, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know you have any suggestions.
Yes. So what can we do for you?
I don't know. I just maybe Master, you have some. Maybe I don't know if you
That's
have
a fair
experience.
question. Yeah, you should do that. You go to a place, I have this problem here, and we are very grateful for you to speak up and share your feelings and speak up. That's very good. Okay, feel free to do so. Okay, we encourage it. Before I answer you, how did the son pass away? Is it an accident, illness, or what?
No, he took his own life, so it's.
What?
Yeah, he
Took his own life. Depression?
I guess so. Maybe with girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah. When I got divorced, I thought of ending my life too. Yeah, I'm sorry, very sorry to hear that.
He wasn't strong enough to handle.
Yes, it's amazing how fragile life can be, okay? And that's why I can't emphasize enough the importance of preparing our children for life. We need to pay attention to them and help make them stronger and stronger and stronger so that they can shoulder more burden and confront more obstruction and more challenges. And that's what we do with that's why I do for you, prepare for you, all of you, especially monks and nuns. You face a lot more challenges than normal people. Because normal people would bring problems to you, and you need to learn how to help them face these challenges, okay? If you go get a degree in counseling and so forth, it's not going to help because the knowledge alone is not enough. You must be able to help people. You need to have the strength, okay, to put them on your shoulders, all right? Same thing with the parents. The parent needs to put their children on their shoulders as well, in similar fashion. All right? Now, as far as he's concerned, when let me speak to him because can I just before I address him and I'll open the floor for questions, can I finish my point here before I forget why this delight in speech, how to make it authentic, okay? It's authentic because you yourself enjoy it, and it's authentic because I also enjoy it. Because if it's only for me to entertain you, then it becomes an entertainment program. So it's delightful because I enjoy speaking about it, and you enjoy listening to it, and then we enjoy it together. Okay? And it's not like it's a sitcom or a show where, and then eventually, since you're happy with it, you give me a good rating, I go get a raise. demand a raise. It doesn't work like that. We just enjoy the Dharma together. That's called delight in speech. The joy, the delight is on both sides. That's why it's authentic. When you go to me and you go like this, the joy stops. You see what I mean? Catholic cannot even look at me. So, okay? So that's why delight in speech. Okay? It's not just entertainment, it is the joy of learning a Dharma and sharing a Dharma together. And our system, we put so much investments into having a system where everyone speaks Dharma. You know, not just me. It's just that these people have their own views as well. You know, and that's part of the fun. Yeah, we make fun of them, we make fun of ourselves, but that's part of the delight in learning. Okay? It's not one way at all, like the way it used to be for me in schools and colleges. All right. So we're done with the eloquence of the 4 eloquences, okay? All right, thank you. So let's talk about this gentleman's thing. Okay. Remember, I told you earlier. I said, you know, monks and nuns are supposed to help people shoulder people's burden. That's part of it. That's part of the skills. Okay, you need to develop. Okay. So in his particular case here, and I'm going to make him hurt a little bit more before I make him feel better. Is it okay? Is it okay, sir? I'm going to say some bad news to you, and then maybe give you some good news later. But you don't want to hear the bad news, I don't have to speak.
No, you can speak whatever you want to speak. That's fine. Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to be as gentle as possible. When someone commits suicide, that person, according to Buddhism, goes to a bad state. Okay, Buddhism is a continuum of bodies after bodies. So after you die, you change bodies. And after your next time you die, you change bodies again. So that's why the Buddhists look at death differently. Death is just the end of something, the beginning of something else. All right? So that's a relief in a sense that if, in this case here, when his son, I'm sorry, I'm going to hurt you. If his son committed suicide like this, he fell. So he's in dire straits all this time. It's not just your son. Many people are like that. Many young people, not only your son, but in Korea, in Japan, in Malaysia, in France, the young people, there's a high percentage of young people who commit suicide, in particular because it's pandemic, by the way. Yes or no? There's the increase, tremendous jump of suicides among young people. It's very alarming to me. Okay, and our young are not prepared for this kind of stress. Okay, so because of that lack of clarity when he committed suicide, he fell to a lower realm, and the problem with that, he's suffering. Okay, and that's a way. That's what happened. That's a bad news. Okay, why do we Buddhists insist on telling you the bad news? Like a Buddha 3,000 years ago, he says, you are suffering, you don't even know it. Okay, and the non-Buddhists would say, why are you keep on telling me the bad news? Buddha says, I've only told you one of the 4 things I want you to know. You're suffering, you're miserable, you are depressed, you are manic. But that's only one of the 4 things I need to tell you, about your life. Okay? So there it is. First part, you suffering, he's suffering, pretty bad. Okay? And that's why instinctively, his father is here, says, I lost my son in bad circumstances. I don't see anything. I don't feel good about it. His instincts are pretty good. The son is not doing well. Okay? So he's suffering I'm not going to tell him where, because he's going to ask me a question, will make it worse for me, and he wants more details. I don't care to do that. I'm no shrink. I mean, okay, not my business. But in general, he's suffering. He's not doing well because of the nature of the death. Okay, so that's the bad news. The good news is that it can be helped. Okay, remember, if the current state is just a life, eventually will end, and then you move on to the next life, then you can still do something about it to help him. Okay, so in general, if it affects him as a father, because he says, I feel guilty, I didn't do my job, I have all these guilt trips here with me, and I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't get out of my mind, then you should have spoken to a counselor or someone who says, my mind is not clear, my mind is suffering, please help. Okay, that's what I would have done. Professionally, I would say, will you consider going to see a therapist and get some relief, because you're beating on yourself. Why do you keep on beating on yourself? No one deserves that kind of life. Yes, we made a mistake, okay? But you don't need to punish yourself the rest of your life. Because if you do that, you also are punishing your wife and the rest of your family. How can your wife and your children and your relatives be happy when they see you so unhappy? So you have to do something to help yourself get out of this, because we are talking about your life now, not just the son's life anymore. I'm talking about two aspects of this event, this tragedy, that you have to address: the son's well-being as well as your well-being. Okay, and that's why the well-being. I worry about the people who are still alive first, because that's important, because it affects many people who are still around. So get some help, get some relief for yourself, because there's no point beating yourself like this. Okay, that's something you should consider. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to beat myself on this, but it's the thoughts that keep coming into my mind that I want to learn how I should manage that. Should I let the thoughts come, or should I?
Yeah, it's not just your thoughts. It doesn't matter whether your thoughts are some other people's thoughts. It doesn't matter, okay? But you need to snap out of this feeling bad about your life, about yourself.
I see.
Okay? It doesn't matter, okay? And the therapists are trained to help you unravel that gradually.
I see.
Okay? Because, look, the fact is that you cannot help yourself so far. It's time for change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The point here is that if you can't seem to get out of it on your own, there are professionals. Nothing wrong with seeking professional help. Okay? There is a stigma associated with that. Who cares? We're talking about your health now. Okay? And no one else has to know. My point here is that you need to have some different input on how to deal with those thoughts in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And there are professionals who can help you. Okay, we're not talking necessarily a whole lifetime. We're talking about getting started, so that you can get some relief, and at least it stops sinking. Okay, because you are depressed and you're sinking deeper and deeper into depression. You're not careful.
I see.
The way you sound is depression. By the way, how do I know? I was severely depressed. Many of my disciples are severely depressed, so we know what we're talking about. I'm sorry. Don't feel you're the only one.
I see.
Okay.
How did you or your disciples get out of that depression? I don't know.
Meditation. Chant. Okay, but anyway, so just to start. Okay, see, he's open-minded. That's pretty good. Okay, so there's hope for you. I would recommend that you get some therapists, okay, and talk to them, okay, and see if there's some relief. There will be relief, I assure you, okay. Whether it's quickly enough or whether it's good enough long-term, it depends on the therapist. But it doesn't matter. You need to get started. And then number two, you also need to meditate, because meditation is what, by the way, in my humble opinion, therapists are supposed to do for you. Train you into meditation, because that's a long-term solution. It's not going to be drugs. It's not going to be meds. It's not going to be counseling alone. You need to learn how to deal with those thoughts. You yourself. And that's what Chan meditation does. It trains you to deal with those thoughts.
I see.
Okay? So be careful, because that depression there, it's very, even more infectious than the Omicron. It affects your family, affects everyone you come in contact with in ways that people don't realize.
I see.
Okay, so you are carrying an infection, by the way, sir, with all due respect. Have you heard of the expression, he makes me feel so depressed? She makes me feel so depressed? That's it. We infected.
Infect other people. I see.
Okay, so it's your responsibility. It's like you infected Omicron, wear a mask, whatever. Okay, it's just a social responsibility. Okay, so it's pretty serious. Okay, and in long term, I offer also a long-term solution. And the Buddhist solution is that, what if you know that your son will go to a good place, the best place possible? Would you feel less guilty? And that way you said, well, you know, if he goes to a good place, maybe I can let go, because I cannot take better care of him than that. And that's your relief, to deal with your guilt.
I see.
Okay, so in Buddhism, we can help him go to the Pure Land. Even he's in bad state right now. The Buddha talked about it, because the Buddha also said that if you're in bad state, if it's not the end of the world, you can still go to a better place. Okay? That's all. Just like you kill yourself and you put yourself in a bind, you too can do something to get out of it, help you get out of it, and go to a better place. It's called. That's all. So, to cut it short for you, see, he feels better already. See, he said, tell me something that I can do something about, not for myself, but also for my son. See, the therapist only helps him with himself, but the therapist cannot help with his son. In Buddhism, you should help your son get to the Pure Land. Okay? We go to the Pure Land, he'll be in Amitabha Buddha, which is better than heavens. Catholic. And the Buddha will take care of him forever. Better than you can. How's that for good news? You see, I told you, I will give you some bad news first. That is, his son is in very bad state right now. And the good news will follow later. And that's the good news. He can get out and go to a far better place.
Yeah.
Best place anywhere in the universe right now, as far as we Buddhists know or believe. Okay? So we can help him go to the Pure Land. We relieve his pain and suffering. That's important. Okay? And then we'll help give him relief for his guilt. Okay? Because if he knows that his son is in the good hands, he has no more excuses to feel depressed about it. Okay?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So talk to. It's possible, by the way. We can help. Definitely, if you trust us, we definitely should get him a rebirth plaque to go to the Pure Land. Okay, and you do that. Hopefully, within 2 years, he can go to the Pure Land. But it happens immediately. Is that he'll be protected and he will no longer suffer the way he's suffering right now. So we protect him so that he's safe, he's well taken care of until he has a chance to go to the Pure Land where he's so much better off. So the suffering can stop now, if you will. Okay?
Yeah. I want the suffering. I want my suffering to stop too. Yeah. So.
Okay, so that's Buddhism, by the way. For in general, thank you for the question. It's just that, remember, we tell you about these bad things because there's a solution. And because if you believe, if you don't believe, fine, okay? Put it aside and go to your heavens, whatever. We respect that, your choices. But you believe, then in this case here, it happened that we help a lot of people in your cases, similar to you, okay? Where we can help people get to the Pure Land, where Amitabha Buddha would take good care of them until they become Buddhas themselves. Okay, and that's the Mahayana Pure Land Dharma that we've been using to help a lot of people the last 15 years. All right, so see, he feels better already. Look at him. Huh? See, when he talked to me, I don't feel good. I don't care. I don't know what to do with my life. Look at him now. Hey, there's hope. And that's Mahayana. All right? All right. Any other questions? Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. In Buddhist teaching, is to liberate birth and death. So, how do we know that we are stuck in this reincarnation?
You know you're stuck in the wheel reincarnation. How? Anyone? Q&A. How do you know you're stuck?
Oh, I was gonna say something else, but
go ahead.
I'll just something else or answer this.
You can go something else.
Okay.
We are all over. Don't worry. I digress like crazy. They're used to it. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to really quickly repent. I feel like I feel like I've been trying to be respectful because obviously I believe in you, Master, and I believe in Buddhism and all this, but I just feel like I haven't been as respectful as I feel now. And I'm pretty sure there's more levels of gratitude, and I just wanted to repent.
Oh, excuse me.
Not being respectful to the temple.
I forgot I'm by myself. Yes. You repent now? Okay, thank you. It's okay. You know what, Daniel? I used to say, the heck with Buddhas, so I get what I deserve, okay? The karmas I created, I'm not surprised if people slander me, yell at me, scream at me, curse me. I deserve it all, okay? Don't worry. Well, thank you. Okay, so where were we again? Yes, go ahead, 3. Give us the answer. The wife asks a question, husband answers. How's that teamwork? What teamwork, huh?
Thank you, Master. I look forward to your answer to my wife's question.
Yes.
But before you do, Daniel, very interested to know if you got the 6 paramitas tattoo, and if you did, if that inspired your repentance.
Okay. What's the answer to the question?
Yet. I'm probably I'm gonna.
There's a conversation going on, you know. Not yet. Yeah, okay. Anyone? What's the question again? Four.
Do you want me to repeat the question again?
Yes, please.
So in Buddhism,
My attention span is about as short as nanoseconds.
in Buddhism teaching, we teach about how to liberate. End the birth and death.
I remember now.
So liberate. So how do we know that we're stuck in reincarnation?
Very good. Anyone? Let me answer you. You are in reincarnation because you are planting the seeds, such seeds to cycle through the reincarnation. What are the seeds? The seeds are created by your thoughts of anger, greed, or stupidity. Okay? So for example, if you greed for money, then you are still in the wheel. You are preparing yourself, okay, to stay in the wheel. You get angry very often at your children. You are also paving the way for you to stay in the wheel as well. Okay? That gentleman who says, I don't feel good about myself. I can't deal with these thoughts, keeping popping in my mind. That is what? I'm sorry, stupidity. And it gets worse and worse. They compound, the thoughts are more and more overwhelming. And see, sir, we don't mince words around here, okay? We use every single thing, okay? So every single piece of data we have. So those are we stay in the wheel because our own actions, our own karmas. Okay, so as long you know they have those, then you know that you planted the seeds to stay in the wheel. So the relevant question is, how do I get out of the wheel? It's not about me staying in the wheel. It's about how do I get out of the wheel. It's much more important. Just like he says, I don't feel good about my thoughts. Okay? The question he should have asked, and answer for him is that, how do I deal with those thoughts? How do I get rid of those thoughts? I need help. Okay? Same thing with you. You should say, how do I make sure I get out of the wheel? You get out of the wheel by doing 2 things. Okay? Number 1, reduce those seeds you planting, be less greedy, be less angry, be less stupid. Then you have fewer chances to stay in the wheel. However, even though you reduce those planting new seeds, but there's some seeds you planted in the past already. So there's still a danger there. So yes, the first step is to reduce planting more seeds, but more importantly, you need to plant seeds to get out. Okay? And you get out, the easiest way in our world is to go to the Pure Land. So invest in your rebirth. Just like you invest in the future, your futures, by taking classes, and so forth, getting training and so forth. You invest in your children's future with their education and so forth. Same thing. You need to invest in yourself to get out of the wheel. and that's called Pure Land Dharma doors, or Chan. All right? Does it help? Okay. Shall we continue? 249. The ocean-like eloquence was infinite and vast. So this refers to the Mahasattvas, these great beings, the great knights. So the eloquence here that we talked about, we mentioned the 4 types of eloquence. Actually, those are the coarse classification into 4. Actually, eloquence has so many different types of eloquence. So many types that are just like ocean, as many as the ocean. Countless types of eloquence. Okay? And so the eloquence, not only were they like ocean-like, because there's so many types of eloquence, not just eloquence of Dharma, eloquence of meaning, eloquence of phrasing, eloquence of non-obstruction, the light of speech, but also eloquence in German, eloquence in, whatever, okay? Infinitely. Many types, but within that many and that those types is so infinite and vast as well. Okay, and I made a comment here that people said that eloquence is necessary winning debates. Actually, it's not eloquence; it's wisdom to win debates by beating up the other guy. Don't need to be eloquent. I don't know how I got to that. Maybe some relative. 250. Text. Replete with the meritorious virtues of a Buddha, they were venerated, adorned, and dignified.
具佛功德，尊严可敬。
The original, as I looked at this text this morning, the text from my master's disciples' translation is that they were venerable and dignified. I changed the venerated, adorned, and dignified, which is closer to the original Chinese. Okay, so 251, what is he talking about? What is the Buddha talking about? These beings, these great Mahasattvas, these great bodhisattvas, you could classify them, could call them great Mahasattvas as well. So great bodhisattvas, if you will. Because they're not ordinary Mahasattvas. Okay? Remember, Mahasattvas are classified, if you belong to that category when you're 8th ground, 9th ground, or 10th ground or higher. Okay? And these great beings, these great Mahasattvas, have an abundance replete with the meritorious virtues of a Buddha, meaning that they're so close to a Buddha, if not, they might even be Buddhas themselves. That's why they're infinite. Okay, merit and virtues. That's how you become a Buddha, by creating infinite merit and virtues. Infinite. I stress you, the key word is infinite. You never stop. You never say it's enough. All right? So they created, replete, meaning they created already. So incredible an amount of merit and virtue, infinite amount of merit and virtue. They've done it. So that's replete. Okay? Yeah. They accomplished. Okay? Infinite merit and virtues, like at the level of Buddha. So they, most likely, they're Buddhas themselves. Remember, the sutra texts are never misleading. They say this because basically, to me, I will interpret this as these are actually Buddhas who pretend to be bodhisattvas. All right? Now, they were venerated, Zunyan, okay? So, Zun is venerated, okay? Yin is adorned. Ke Jing is dignified, worthy of respect. And this encapsulates the state of these great beings. Okay? They are venerated because you are venerated because of your track record, your accomplishment. Is that clear? Like in Buddhism, we call Venerable YongHua, Venerable Xuyun, because you look at their lives, they accomplished so much already. Okay? And we call Venerable YongHua because I haven't accomplished anything yet, but hopefully by the time I die in a few years, I will have accomplished a lot. Okay? So in general, the word venerated is different from venerable, because venerated is that you have a track record. You accomplished things already, and people recognize it. Who recognize these people? The other Buddhas. That's why they venerate it. The Buddha says, he's a good person. He's a good bodhisattva. So the Buddha certified him. That's why the Buddha disciples venerate him, venerate her. So we're talking about track record that is certified. That's how you become venerated. By not just anyone, not by mosquitoes and sheeps, but by Buddhas. They're venerated by the Buddha disciples, if you will. And Buddhist disciples are bodhisattvas and mahasattvas and so forth, not just ordinary people either. All right? So that's what venerated is. Zun is that it's recognized by Buddhas and bodhisattvas and so forth. That's venerated. Yin is adorned. Okay? Why do you need to be Zun Yin, but not just Zun? Zun is that you venerate it. But Yin, if you're Zun, you must be Yin. See, the Chinese is so beautiful. It's just like I become president of the United States, so I'm venerated. Let's keep politics out of this, okay? Okay, I'm governor of California. Oh no, that doesn't work either. There's some people, I drove down Highway 5 and they go, hey, Newsom, how about building a plan? I say, geez, what is language? I mean, they accomplished something, so you need to give them the proper, protocol. Anyway, so you venerate it, but you also, once you venerate it, you must be adorned. That's my point. Does it make sense to you? If you venerate it, can you go around like, hey, how are you, dude? You must be adorned. You're like this because you've never been venerated. When you venerated like the Queen of England after 70 years, you become adorned. You see that? So adorned here is sort of like telling us that he's been venerated for a long time. The first time you venerated, like Kim Deang, hey man, okay? But after 20 lifetimes, Kim Deang goes, yes. You see? So the adorned here is a reflection, is a consequence of being venerated. So that tells you right away, the people who have not been venerated for a long time, they doze off during the lectures. Oh, it's too expensive. Forget it. Oh, I see. Okay, never mind. Okay. So you venerate. So that's why the Chinese, I love these Chinese because they contain so much insider information. You venerate it, and therefore you adorn. 尊严. Okay, it's beautiful. And 可敬. 可敬 here is that even though they're venerated, even though they're adorned, they still 可敬. It's so respectable, so dignified. Meaning what? It is so beautiful. Hey, Mama. Why is it important? Yes, please.
Sure. Thank you, Master. My comment, I think these words are very important, just to verify that. But as you were talking about how as we increase our level, we may need to use Chinese words, I have to say that venerated, adorned, and dignified may as well be Chinese to me based on just normal words I see talked about every day in life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You could tell me it's a Chinese word that means venerated, I'd still say I don't know what venerated means. I don't know what adorned means. I know what dignified kind of means, but...
You're right.
It's so important that we're even talking about these concepts to me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. 可敬 here to me is so important. Dignified is so important. Dignified is a lousy translation, you will. 可敬 here is respectable. Respected. Not dignified. Respected. How are you respected? In America, in our culture, in the modern times, you're respected because you do good. You continue to contribute. You don't rest on your laurels. You earn it every single day. That's how you are respected. You can't say that, hey, now I have a PhD, now I become a president, I do as I please. You can't do that. Now you become a president, you have to become even a better person than before. And you become a better person today than yesterday, and better tomorrow, and more the day after tomorrow, and so on and so on. That's why it says 可敬. That respectable, to be respected. You earn it. That's why I love this 可敬 here. That's our spirit. Mahayana. Don't ever say that, hey, I've got so much now. Let's retire. Let's go to the Bahamas. Only losers do that. You keep on earning your respect. Contribute more and more and more. Same thing. It carries through in everything in life, by the way. You earn your wife's respect. I'm serious about this. You earn your husband's respect. Every day, more than yesterday. That's Buddhism. Not just your wife, your children, your friends. We earn our way. Don't ever assume that I'm born in nobility. I'm born rich. I'm born as a son of a president. Therefore, I earn your respect. No, you earn it every single day. You don't simply deserve it. Can't say, I deserve your respect. No, I earned your respect. Cờ Jing here is that he earned his respect. He earned our respect. They earn our respect. Cờ here is can be respected. Can be respected. Not dignified. You see, these people, they don't understand the meaning. That's why, and it's my mistake, I didn't pay attention to dignified. Okay, until right now, look at him and say, dignified. There you go. So that's why the Cờ Jing here is so important. Is and respected. Cờ Jing here translate as are respected, not respectable, respected by us, by the other peers, by the superiors. You like that? That, to me, the spirit of the bodhisattvas. Can I change it? This is so important. Cờ Jing is well respected. Well respected by those above, by those at the same level, and those below them. And if anything at all, I like to emphasize this, especially for you, students of Mahayana. This is how we are. We need to learn to be venerated, behave as our status being venerated, and then earn our respect. All right? Now and forever. Okay, have a few more minutes. Any jokes? Yes, there you go. That's the right person. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. My pleasure. When we were speaking about taking delight in the words of the Dharma, delightful speech, I had this idea. I thought I could bounce off of you.
Okay, bounce.
If we're not making Dharma puns, then we're not making the Dharma fun. I'll let it simmer. Why do I mention this? There's a long history in the English language where puns are considered the height of wit. What does that mean in today's parlance? It means they were really funny at a certain time. Now they're considered groaners, but again, to me, if we can make Dharma puns, it does make the Dharma fun because it helps transmit some meaning.
I have something to add as well. You know what Xian pronounce pun? Bun. Dharma buns. Never mind. 3. Yeah. We have a lot of non-native English speakers here, so choose your words carefully, please. Remember, one day you weren't there. I think Xian Tong was speaking at lunch hall, and she says, "Master doesn't like shit." I said, "What?" I said, "Shit." I said, "Say what?" what is shit? She says, shit. And she meant sheeps. But it's true, I don't like shit either. Yes.
My thought on that, Master, is that the Dharma's been around for a long time. So, the buns have been in the oven.
Oh, that's a bad one. So bad. Okay, we'll stop right here before I get in trouble. I uttered a bad word already in public. What's Xian Tong's problem? She said, hey, Master, I know you don't like shit. Thank you. Stop here.